I am one of the statewide co-chairs. I'm Barb McInvale. I'm a Pierce County Superior Court Commissioner, and I'm the judicial co-chair. Our educational co-chair, Glenn Haslinger, is not able to be with us today, but clearly sends his regards. Gina, do you want to take care of these housekeeping issues?
Yeah, of course, thank you. So as always, if you have not yet, we have clock hours available for CLE and CJE. That's our legal clock hours available. You can sign up for those. You only need to do it once in the conference. If you haven't already, you can sign up to get credit for your attendance in the conference at the link that I just dropped in the chat. That's for CLE and CJE. For educational clock hours, you need to register at a different link, which is this one for PD Enroller. You only need to do this once during the conference, and we will take attendance and get those hours in for you. Thanks, Barb. Go ahead.
All right. Well, I would like to introduce today our first speaker, and that is Kelly Mangiaracina, and she will be speaking with us briefly. So Kelly, we'll turn it over to you, and welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm going to share my screen real quick with folks. There we go. Hopefully you're all seeing the slides for me. So my name is Kelly Mangiaracina, and I am the CSEC, or Commercially Sexually Exploited Children's Policy and Program Manager for King County, and I sit out of juvenile court. And I have 15 minutes to tell you that I really want to tell you more things. So I'm using this opportunity to say, this is an issue, please come and learn more, find out how you can learn more. So what is CSEC? What is the commercial sexual exploitation of children? And how can we all work together to end the sex trafficking of children in Washington state? It's a really simple definition. For young people, sex trafficking is this. You have a minor, somebody under the age of 18, and a commercial sex act, you have trafficking. Minor, commercial sex act, trafficking. A minor, super simple definition, anyone under the age of 18. Somebody from age 1 day to somebody 17 and 364 days of age. Somebody under the age of 18. A commercial sex act is any act that has sexual nature in exchange for something of value. So that's sexual intercourse for money, that's sexting a photo for drugs. Anytime somebody does a sex act in exchange for something of value, money has value, drugs has value, food has value, shelter has value, a new iPhone has value. Anytime somebody under the age of 18 engages in that commercial sex act, we have trafficking, and that young person is a victim of trafficking. That's both the federal definition and our Washington state definition. Back in 2011, no one in Washington state lived in an area that had a coordinated response to the commercial sexual exploitation of children, a coordinated response to the sex trafficking of children. Because of organizations like CCYJ and some phenomenal survivor advocates in Washington state, we now have the map on the right-hand side of the screen. 85% of Washington state's population lives in an area that has a coordinated response to the commercial sexual exploitation of children. Not space-wise, but population-wise, most Washingtonians live in an area where there is a coordinated response. So what is that coordinated response? Back in the day, back in 2012, CCYJ created the model protocol for commercially sexually exploited children. And this is a document that was initially published in 2013 and then republished in 2016. This document teaches us how to have a victim-centered, compassionate response to children who are victims of sex trafficking, instead of our previous response, which was to criminalize and detain these young people under the crime of prostitution. Historically, we literally criminalized young people for their own sexual exploitation. And that is wrong, was wrong, and will always be wrong. We are now changing that, creating a coordinated response to respond in a victim-centered, appropriate manner. And this model protocol really developed the idea of how we should do that, from statewide legislation to county level task forces to individual MDTs. This document provided a blueprint that is modifiable across the state of Washington. So what works in King County, where I am, it's not necessarily going to work in OMAC. And so this document is it's malleable so that we can change it and have it work for all of our different counties, our different agencies. So one of the things that I do as the commercially sexually exploited policy and program manager is I coordinate King County's CSEC task force. The chair of our task force is sitting Superior Court Judge Regina Cahan. She is the chair of our King County Superior Court, King County CSEC task force. I coordinate it. I do the back end work of everything there. Some of the activities that the task force helps with, we can help connect young people to free advocacy at community-based organizations, any young person aged 12 to 24 who is at risk of or who has been exploited. But really what I want to talk to you about today is training. One of the things that we do in King County is provide training. And because of COVID and because of things moving virtual, our training is now available to folks statewide. In fact, we've had almost 1,300 people participate in trainings this year alone that the King County CSEC Task Force has sponsored. And folks have come from from Washington State, the entire United States, and now 6 countries, including Canada, Israel, Spain, the UK, New Zealand, and I'm clearly forgetting one, but I've got it written down somewhere. But because of this, trainings are available and we invite you to come to them. You should be receiving an overview along with the slides, and you can sign up for trainings at the King County CSEC website, kingcountycsec.org. We have 4 trainings available. They're all free. Additionally, the CSEC 101, Responding to the Sexual Exploitation and Trafficking of Youth, we can provide that free for your organization. To your organization. All we need is for you to ask. So please look into trainings, contact me if you're interested, and we can get more information out there for you. Also, we have the Connect Up foster care program here. A lot of us know that foster care, our young people in foster care need extra support and services, and the caregivers need extra support and services as well. Our Connect Up foster care program provides that. In fact, we're currently working on developing a foster care support group for both bio family and foster care caregivers for young people who have been commercially sexually exploited. And because of COVID and social distancing, we will be able to provide that support group online and potentially can open that up to folks outside of the King County area. We were lucky enough to receive a grant from the Children's Bureau to look at all of the work that we have done in King County on the commercial sexual exploitation of children and whether or not we were responding appropriately, following that model protocol, and were we actually responding in a victim-centered, compassionate way. We had a rigorous 5-year evaluation to tell us what works and what doesn't work. And lo and behold, community-based advocacy and multidisciplinary teams and that coordinated response that CCYJ said we should be doing way back in 2012, that's what works. And we know that's what works. So we'd like to talk to you, provide some training, provide some education, and help you get to the point where your community has one of those task forces. Again, if we look back at this slide, not all of Washington is covered. And if you're in one of the areas that has purple and there is a coordinated response in your area, reach out to CCYJ and they can get you connected to your county level task force. If you're in King County and you want to connect with our task force to address this issue, please, please, please outreach me. And my contact information is here. I sincerely invite you to go visit the King County CSEC website. We've got lots of information there, and I'm always available for virtual coffee to talk about the issue and what's going on. And I sincerely hope that I get to see you at a longer training. We're in the middle of doing a CSEC 101 right now. We did 3 hours this morning, and I'm going to do 3 hours with that crew again tomorrow. And it's great to just sit in a room with folks, a virtual room, and really dive into those conversations. And I hope to see you at one of our future trainings so that we across Washington State can have a better coordinated response to the commercial sexual exploitation of children and eventually have no commercially sexually exploited children in Washington State. Thank you for your time today, and I really hope you enjoy the rest of the Becca conference.
Thank you so much, Kelly.
Any questions for Kelly before we move
yes.
on?
I so appreciate everyone saying thank you for my work, but the majority of my work is just elevating all of your work. So thank you for that. And thank you for being here. And thank you for caring about kids and being part of this conference.
Well, and thank you again. This obviously, I think, gave us a lot of things to be very interested in. So I'm sure you'll be hearing from a lot of us. All right, so now it's time for us to introduce the 2 breakout sessions that we're going to have. And before I do that, I want to remind everyone, today is going to be a little different than Tuesday and yesterday were, because on Tuesday and yesterday, after your breakout session, we were finished for the day. Today, we're not. At 1:45, we're going to have a panel discussion. And after we come back together after the 2 breakout rooms, we'll give you some more information and introductions as far as that panel discussion. So today we have our education track and our care track, just as we did the previous 2 days. Education track today is about who cares? A regional approach to creating cultures of care in schools. Our presenters today are Amber McGill. She's a licensed clinical social worker and a culture of care coach. We have Erin Taylor. She is also a culture of care coach. And we have Dr. Amy Yillick, who also is a culture of care coach. Following the journey of creating and implementing a culture of care in all Central Oregon schools, founded by a cross-sector grant, this team has shifted educational systems to become trauma responsive, equitable, and restorative to improve outcomes for our most vulnerable population. So here their process, successes, and hurdles, and learn how their work is more relevant than ever in the context of COVID-19. Culture of care is shaping a new version of education in Central Oregon. This approach can change all of us too. On the care track today, the topic is healing-centered reunification. And for that group, the presenters are Lane Crumpos, who's a mental health therapist from Puget Sound ESD. Then we have Nasareen Ahmed, who's a consultant on school safety and threat assessment with Puget Sound ESD, and Lawrence Davis, who is the school safety program manager for Puget Sound ESD. So this training is going to provide tools and guidance on how to go beyond trauma-informed care and move into a place of being healing-centered when a student is re-entering from either incarceration or inpatient treatment. Healing-centered re-entry focuses on a wraparound approach that will empower a student to utilize the skills they obtained while they were incarcerated or in treatment, and it encourages the school to support the student in their path of growth and healing. The trainers have a wide variety of skills and experience in the world of education, juvenile justice, and mental health. And I think we all know now mental health issues are probably more serious than they have been with our youth right now. Together, we'll use this experience to help connect these different systems in supporting our students' re-entry back into the school environment. So with that, Gina, unless you have anything to tell us, I think that the breakout rooms should be opening